Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to another video. And in this video we're going to try and work out what the heck is going on with Bray Wyatt in regards to Survivor Series War Games. We're going to look at logic, the slightly boring stuff, and then we're going to look at the more fun stuff, the crazy theories, the things that could go mad at Survivor Series. Bray Wyatt could literally snap left, right and centre at Survivor Series. This could just be the start from what we saw on last week's episode of SmackDown and the beatdown of LA Knight. But before we get into that, as always, be really appreciative if you could like this video, share this video, and even better, subscribe if you're new. And I also want to say a very happy Thanksgiving to all the American subscribers on this channel. I appreciate all of you, the likes, the comments, the shares, all of you getting involved. It means the world. Have an amazing time with your loved ones and friends. So, what is going to happen with Bray Wyatt? Now, logically, again, let's get the boring stuff out of the way. Bray's likely to face LA Knight in a matchup at Survivor Series War Games. That's likely to get announced on SmackDown, where LA challenges Bray, and then Bray is trying to resist that because he knows that that darker side of him could take control, just like it did on Friday Night SmackDown. And I love this because Bray is still in this conflict between good and bad in his mind. Uncle Howdy, the dark entity, if you like, the ghost of the man who sold the world, Bray's evil thoughts, will they get the better of him like they did on SmackDown? We'll have to wait and see. Now, it's also worth noting we haven't seen Uncle Harper. We'll get into that in a moment. But generally, I just like the simplicity of having Uncle Howdy in Bray's head. Bray's in a match. He's torn between good and bad. He lets his guard down a bit against LA. LA gets a good offense in during the match, makes him look strong. I certainly don't want to see LA Knight buried in a matchup with Bray Wyatt. And Bray wins, but he come close to losing. It was a weaker version of Bray. The darker entity of Bray, the dark voice inside his head, has already said he's a shell of a man he once was. So are we seeing this weaker side, almost Bray letting his guard down like he did on SmackDown, getting slapped twice? Like Dark Bray, the Fiend, that certainly would have never happened. So he's still in this conflict, the storyline still develops. Now, of course, they could go for an absolute shock factor where LA Knight wins because Bray's let his guard down, and then that's the build towards Bray building himself back up, putting that mask back on for good, and running havoc around WWE. That could well be the case. But again, if they're going to have a match, Bray should really win, shouldn't he? Because the internet would go mad if Bray's first match ends up in a loss. Just logically think about it, you can still develop the storyline and just keep it simple that way. Now, next up, we could see the appearance of Uncle Harper. Now, we don't know whether this is going to be in physical form. We don't know whether this is going to be similar to Uncle Howdy in Bray's mind. But maybe this is the voice of reason. This is the good side, the better side of Bray. He's got the devil on one shoulder and literally like the good on the other, in the sense of like this is the opposing side of Howdy. And Bray's torn between the two. He doesn't know where to turn. And maybe for a while we see that better side, knowing, teasing that there could still be that brutal beatdown and attack at any point on anyone, like we saw, of course, from LA Knight, piled on top of all that rubble. Now, we still don't know whether that was Bray for sure. We don't know. We assume it was. It sure looks like it. But is it somebody else? We only saw a mask in the dark, a very brief shot of it. That was so cleverly shot, by the way. So there could be, again, this conflict. Maybe we get an Uncle Harper reveal at Survivor Series. Maybe we get it on this week's episode of SmackDown. Now, going on to the next one, talking about SmackDown, we know he's going to be on this week's episode of SmackDown. And at the time of recording this video, obviously this is before Friday Night SmackDown, Alexa Bliss is on SmackDown. So does Howdy literally kidnap, control, take over Alexa Bliss? And she's removed from the Survivor Series War Games match. And then we maybe see some dynamic between Bray and Alexa at Survivor Series War Games. You can't rule that out. Of course, the more logical point is to have Alexa in the match as scheduled. And then maybe we get these Uncle Howdy teases, Dark Alexa teases, Alexa snaps, turns on Team Bianca, which I'm sure she's going to do. I'm also sure that Nikki Cross is going to turn on Team Bayley. And then we get all this, like, all these shenanigans. Maybe we see an alliance from Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross as an involvement from Uncle Howdy controlling the two. And there's like two dark sisters involved in a faction. Now, talking about a faction coming up, could we potentially see a gradual teaser reveal of a faction at Survivor Series? Now, am I not the only one thinking how good Survivor Series War Games, if they do it again next year, it would be building up a Wyatt 6 or a faction? Now, at the moment, it looks like it's just Bray in a battle with all these multiple personalities. But what if Wyatt 6 is a thing in terms of a faction? Now, we know how much Bray Wyatt wants to bring back his brother Bo Dallas. Bro Dallas. That's a Matt Riddle combination, isn't it? Matt Riddle and Bo Dallas get together, you got Bro Dallas. And of course, Eric Redbeard, aka Eric Rowan. We know how much Bray Wyatt wants to bring them back. We've got a video coming up literally an hour after this one in regards to Eric Rowan and a tease potentially there. And what if they start introducing new members within this storyline? And that'd be a really cool dynamic, and we see that build at Survivor Series War Games. Now, you've got to remember, we've got from War Games all the way to the Rumble to build a storyline here. And I definitely feel you could work those two in, add Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, you know, even a Liv Morgan, although I think it's unlikely. You could have women involved within this faction, which I sure think there will. How is Bray going to react to Alexa Bliss? Is this a revenge arc? Or is this an alliance again? It remains to be seen. There's so many questions. Also, we look at the men's Survivor Series War Games matchup. You can't rule off completely, entirely Bray Wyatt not getting involved. But you really can't. Is it a revenge arc from Bray? For me, I think that's far too early to jump into that. I don't want to see Bray anywhere near Roman Reigns for now. Save that for later. But you can't rule it off completely. You can't rule off Bray going after someone random like a McIntyre or Karrion Kross, or even the Judgment Day, if you're going to have this so build towards a faction. So there's so many options. But I think logically, LA Knight versus Bray Wyatt in Survivor Series, make it an absolute banger. Conflict in Bray's mind. And also the question is to, is Bray recruiting LA Knight? Does he want him part of the team? We'll have to wait and see. A team he could potentially be building. Or is this just a full-on feud? But I'm all down for it. LA Knight is smashing it out the park in opposition to, at the moment, of course, Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt smashing it out the park. You've got this Alexa Bliss dynamic. It's also worth noting that apparently Alexa Bliss wasn't supposed to be involved in this whole Damage Control versus Team Bianca kind of type feud that we've seen for so long since SummerSlam, because Becky has been injured. So it'd be interesting to see how they pull Alexa Bliss out, how this ties in with Bray Wyatt, potentially The Fiend. Oh, there's so many questions. But as always, get down in the comment section, share your thoughts and opinions. It can be the craziest theories going, it doesn't matter. What do you think is going to happen at Survivor Series? How do you think they're going to book it? You can guarantee it's going to be exciting. I cannot wait. It's going to be an all-nighter for me. Of course, there will be a review video the day after, and let's see what happens. I'll see you in the next one.